Dr. SCI-FI pressed his long, slender fingers against the glowing control panel of the research ship. Soft blue lights blinked in rhythmic patterns as the vessel drifted silently through space. After months of traveling through the dark void, they had finally found something interesting. A small planet with blue oceans, green lands, and a steady orbit around a yellow star. "This planet looks perfect for life," SCI-FI said, his voice calm but excited. "The energy readings are very strong," his assistant added, clicking her thin claws across her tablet. "These creatures have built machines that fly through space. They're not as advanced as we are, but they're intelligent." SCI-FI nodded. His people, the Veltari, had been exploring space for thousands of years. They were a peaceful species, tall and thin like deer, walking upright on two legs. Their large eyes could see colors invisible to most creatures, and their delicate ears could hear even the faintest whisper. They were herbivores and had never hunted another living thing. Their society was built on peace, knowledge, and curiosity. "Send them a message," SCI-FI said. "Tell them we come in peace. We want to meet them and learn about their world." The message traveled quickly across space until it reached a large metal station orbiting the blue planet. Inside the station, Captain Jake Morrison was drinking coffee and reading his morning reports when the communication system began to beep. "Captain, you need to see this," called Lieutenant Ben Carter from his chair. His fingers flew across. The controls as strange symbols began appearing on the screen. "It's not from Earth," Ben said, "and it's not from anywhere we know." Jake set down his coffee and walked over. He was a tall man with short brown hair and kind eyes. After years of working in space, he'd seen many strange things, but never anything quite like this. "Can you understand what they're saying?" he asked. Ben worked with the computer for several minutes. Slowly, the strange symbols translated into readable words. "They say they come in peace. They want to meet us and learn about us. They're asking permission to visit our station." Jake's heart began to race. This was the moment humanity had dreamed of for generations. First, contact with beings from another world. "Send them a reply," Jake said. "Tell them they are welcome here. Tell them we're honored to meet them." 2 days later, a silver ship shaped like a giant leaf gently docked with the human station. Jake and his crew waited in the main meeting room. Everything had been cleaned and decorated with welcome signs. Amy Foster stood near the door with her German shepherd, Rex. The dog was strong and alert, with shiny black and brown fur. He had been trained to help protect the station, but more than that, he was Amy's best friend. The door opened with a soft hiss. 3 tall, thin creatures stepped inside. They moved slowly and carefully, their wide eyes scanning every corner of the room. Their ears twitched, taking in every tiny sound. Dr. SCI-FI was the first to speak, his voice trembling slightly as he used the human language he had practiced for many hours. "Greetings, humans. We are honored to meet you." Jake smiled and stepped forward. "Welcome to our station. We are very happy to meet you too. I'm Captain Jake Morrison." The aliens still seemed nervous, but they relaxed a little as Jake introduced each crew member. Everything was going smoothly until Amy stepped forward with Rex by her side. Rex was curious. He had never seen beings like this before. They smelled different, moved differently. He tilted his head, let out a quiet whine, and took a step closer. The moment the aliens saw Rex, everything changed. Dr. SCI-FI's eyes went wide with fear. His whole body began to shake. One of the other aliens stepped back so fast they nearly fell over. Rex, thinking they wanted to play, gave a friendly bark. To the aliens, that bark sounded like a monster's roar. Dr. SCI-FI made a high-pitched sound of terror and nearly collapsed. His assistant caught him just in time. The third alien was shaking, so hard he couldn't speak. "Rex, sit," Amy said quickly, confused by their reaction. Rex obediently sat down, wagging his tail. He was happy, trying to be friendly. But to the Veltari it looked like Amy had just commanded a fearsome beast to obey her will. "Is that creature dangerous?" Dr. Zeptai asked, still trembling, trying to hide behind his assistant. Amy looked surprised. "Dangerous? Rex! No! He's the sweetest dog in the world. He wouldn't hurt anyone. Look, he wants to be friends." She patted Rex on the head. Rex wagged harder and panted happily. But to the aliens, Amy's actions looked like a terrifying display of control over a powerful predator. They saw sharp white teeth. They heard the heavy breathing. The tail wagging back and forth looked like a weapon. In their minds, this creature was the most terrifying predator they had ever encountered. "We must go," Dr. Zeptai said urgently. "We need to report this immediately." "Wait," Jake said, trying to explain. "There's been a misunderstanding. Rex is harmless. He's Amy's pet." Unfortunately, the word pet didn't translate well. To the Veltari, it sounded like Jake was saying that humans kept dangerous monsters as prisoners or slaves. The aliens quickly left the station, clearly shaken. Amy stood by the window, watching their ship detach and drift away. Rex whimpered softly at her feet, confused and sad that his new friends had run away. "What just happened?" Amy asked. Jake sighed and shook his head. "I don't know. But I have a feeling this is going to cause problems." He was right, at key. That very moment, Dr. Zeptai was transmitting an urgent message to the Galactic Federation. His report described Earth as a death world, a planet where humans lived side by side with terrifying predators. He warned that these humans might be the most dangerous species the galaxy had ever encountered. Meanwhile, Rex lay on his back, happily kicking his legs in the air, waiting for belly rubs. Defensive satellites and warning beacons around Earth's solar system. Massive banners in 100 alien languages were designed. Warning, Death World, do not approach. Contact with inhabitants is extremely dangerous. Back on Earth's orbital station, Captain Jake Morrison had just finished his third cup of coffee when Ben received the official transmission from the Galactic Federation. The screen filled, with red warning symbols pulsing ominously. Ben's face went pale as he read the automated translation. "Planet Earth has been classified as a Tier 10 biohazard zone. Contact prohibited. Reason: symbiotic integration with apex predators. Species designation: potential galactic threat." Jake leaned over his shoulder. This has to be a mistake." "Right." Amy walked in, a tennis ball in one hand, Rex trailing behind her. With his tongue out and tail wagging, Jake pointed at the screen. "They think we're raising monsters. They think you're controlling a war beast." Amy blinked. "Rex? This guy? He cries if the vacuum gets too close." Rex barked once in agreement and then immediately sneezed, making a dramatic show of... Shaking his head, Jake rubbed his face. "We've been blacklisted by the entire galaxy because of a belly rub addict with floppy ears." Down in the research bay, Ben was pulling up the latest galactic news feeds. Every major outlet in the known universe had headlines: "Humans masters of the death world, terrifying Earth creatures, now confirmed as companions, Galactic Federation moves to contain, planet of living weapons." Even worse, alien entertainment networks had already begun dramatizing the story. One channel featured a dramatized reenactment where a poorly rendered human with glowing eyes commanded a giant wolf beast to destroy a peaceful Velari village. The wolf was, of course, Rex, though somehow 10 feet tall and breathing fire. Bax. On the Velari ship, Dr. Zeptai was being interviewed live by the Federation's Science Council. "We attempted peaceful contact," he said, still pale and trembling. "But then they summoned it, the human beast covered in fur with rows of sharp teeth, and it made a sound, a horrifying noise, that shattered my sense of safety." "You mean it barked?" asked one council member. "Barked?" Zeptai's Eyes narrowed. If that's what they call it, then yes, it barked, and the humans laughed afterward, as though our fear was a form of amusement. The Federation issued further warnings. Avoid all transmissions from Earth. Their culture is likely built on domination of predatory forces. Their friendliness may be a trap. Meanwhile, back on the human station, Jake sat with Amy and Ben, trying to think of how to fix things. Amy looked down at Rex. What if we, show them he's soft? That he gets scared of his own reflection and hides during thunderstorms? Ben shook his head. The translation AI is still struggling. Every time we say cute, it translates to deceptively lethal. Jake groaned. We need a Valari ambassador to come back. Someone who's willing to meet Rex in person and actually understand. Amy perked up. What about a video where Rex plays with kids, like really small kids? Ben raised a finger. Or, what if we send them a live stream? Unedited footage they can watch themselves. Jake stood. Do both, full transparency. Let them see Rex's nap schedule, his afternoon zoomies, his fear of cucumbers. Over the next few days, Amy and the crew launched a PR campaign for the Galaxy. A 24/7 video stream of Rex was broadcast in every known frequency. He was shown snoozing, chasing tennis balls, licking peanut butter off a spoon, and, his proudest trick, spinning in circles for a treat. But for many aliens, the footage only deepened the mystery. If the humans sleep beside these beasts, asked a Federation biologist, what are they capable of? If their children ride creatures the size of small ships, wondered another, do they fear nothing? And yet, not everyone was afraid. In the far reaches of the galaxy, on a quiet moon where scholars studied alien life forms, a young scientist named Lixilla watched the Rex stream for 3 days straight. She didn't see a monster. She saw a joyful, loving creature. She saw a human woman who loved her companion deeply. She saw peace, and so Lixilla sent a message back to Earth. It was short. It translated perfectly. Hello, humans, I would like to meet your dog. The humans stared at the message. Jake looked at Amy. Well? Ready for round 2? Amy grinned and scratched Rex behind the ears. You hear that, boy? Someone wants to meet you. Rex barked happily, tail wagging like a propeller. He had no idea he was about to become Earth's most important ambassador. The galaxy, it seemed, might still have hope. By now, Quirksell was trembling in his seat, his translucent, skin-changing colors in rapid pulses, an involuntary sign of overwhelming fear in his species. To Lisa and Rick, he just looked nervous. But to Quirksell, he was witnessing proof that the worst fears of the Galactic Federation were not only true, but understated. These humans didn't just live with predators. They trained them, worked them, and loved them like family. Even there, children were raised alongside these creatures, forming deep, unbreakable bonds. Quirksell imagined a world where humans casually strolled through deadly forests with beasts at their side, where monstrous canines, their jaws filled with rows of carnivorous teeth, sat obediently while their human masters tossed them scraps, where infants learned to command wolves, and toddlers practiced playing with fanged companions to build warrior instincts. Would you excuse me for a moment? Quirksell asked, rising slowly and backing out of the room with a forced smile. I must confer with the High Council immediately. Lisa blinked. Was it something I said? Rick shrugged. Maybe he's just nervous about first contact. You did kind of hit him with a lot of pictures at once. Quirksell sprinted down the corridor the moment he was out of sight, his message already transmitting before he reached the Federation Council chamber. Emergency broadcast. Assistant Diplomat Quirksel. Reporting. The humans are worse than we imagined. They have domesticated death. They do not tame predators. They integrate them into their society. Their children are raised in the company of monsters. These creatures, these dogs, are not enslaved. They are voluntary allies. One human described a beast that would die to protect its master, and this was said with affection. The council chamber erupted in frantic conversation. Representatives from species who had never feared war now began to tremble. Entire empires had been built on the idea that the natural universe followed rules. Predators were wild, untamed, dangerous. But if humanity had found a way to befriend the very things other species ran from, what did that make them? Have they begun colonization? Asked Commander Velnix. No, replied Dr. Zeptai, but it's only a matter of time. They have mastered a planet filled with apex predators. We estimate they are less than a century away from interstellar expansion. And when they do, murmured Councillor Thrixell, they won't come alone. They will bring their armies of monsters. And worse, and those monsters trust them. Back on the human diplomatic ship, Lisa and Rick sat alone in the waiting room for hours. No one's coming, are they? Rick finally asked. Lisa sighed. It's weird. We were told this meeting was top priority. I don't understand what went wrong. At her feet, her tablet pinged. A message from Earth. New Federation policy update. Earth declared high-risk zone. All communications suspended. All travel prohibited. Planetary quarantine activated. Lisa blinked at the screen. High risk? What? Why? Then she noticed the attachment. It was a still image from one of her videos. Katie laughing, arms around Buddy's neck as the dog gave her a big wet lick on the cheek, a moment of innocent joy, misread across the stars as a terrifying display of domination over a deadly beast. Rick looked over her shoulder, then glanced at Rex's picture on the wall, a print from a previous mission. Poor guy, he said. He just wanted belly rubs. And so, without ever intending to, Earth became the most feared world in the known galaxy, not because of weapons, not because of technology, but because of Rex, the spoiled murder puppy, who just wanted attention and snacks and a nap on the couch. And somewhere, deep in the void of space, the Federation quietly began construction of a planetary containment shield around Earth, a barrier not to protect humanity from the galaxy, but to protect the galaxy from humanity and their loyal monsters, and smiled at him. "Hi," she said brightly, still petting Rex. "Do you want to say hello?" He's very friendly. Dr. Zeptai froze. He didn't know what to do. Every instinct in his body screamed to run, get away from the predator. But something in Amy's tone, something in the way Rex looked up at her like a child seeking approval, made him pause. "Does it understand me?" Zeptai asked nervously, inching closer. But staying behind a safety railing, Amy giggled. "Rex, sort of. He knows a few words, but mostly he understands tone. Try saying good boy, that's his favorite." Zeptai hesitated. His many eyes blinked slowly. Then he took a breath, forced his limbs to steady, and in a trembling voice, said, "Good, my boy." Rex's ears perked up. He turned toward Zeptai and wagged his tail furiously, as if he'd just been praised by the Galactic Emperor himself. He barked once, happily, and lay down on the floor, tail thumping. Zeptai nearly dropped his tablet. It responded with joy, not aggression. It wanted approval. Slowly he lowered his guard and stepped out from behind the railing. Amy beamed. "He likes you. Do you want to pet him?" Zeptai looked like she'd asked if he wanted to pet a plasma. "Grenade. May I?" "Of course," Amy said. "Just hold your hand out first so he can sniff it." Trembling, Zeptai held out one clawed hand. Rex sniffed it curiously, then gave it a single gentle lick. Zeptai let out a squeak of panic, but Rex didn't attack. He just looked up at him with those round brown eyes, panting happily. Zeptai very carefully patted Rex's head. "Be soft," Amy laughed. "Told you, he's just a big fluffy goofball." What happened next spread across the station in minutes. Other aliens, emboldened by Zeptai's report, peeked out from hiding. A few scientists and diplomats cautiously approached the area. Amy let Rex perform more tricks, sitting, rolling over, high-fiving. The aliens gasped in awe each time, not from fear but amazement. The final turning point came when a small alien child broke free from their parents' grasp and toddled toward Rex. There was a collective gasp as the child reached out, and Rex gently licked their hand, then laid down beside them like a pillow. The child giggled, Rex wagged his tail, and just like that, centuries of instinctive fear started to unravel. Later that day, Ambassador Lisa Chen and Commander Rick Hayes received a priority call from the Federation Council. They expected more warnings, maybe even a demand for surrender. Instead, Councillor Ivalon's image appeared on the screen, flanked by Dr. Zeptai and Assistant Diplomat Quirksel. "Ambassador." "Chen," Ivalon said, "we owe you an apology." Lisa blinked. "An apology?" "There has been a misunderstanding," Zeptai said, looking sheepish. "We believed your people to be masters of biological warfare. You are not." Rick raised an eyebrow. "No, we're definitely not. Your species evolved among predators. You live with them, train them, love them. We mistook this for something terrifying. In truth, it may be your greatest strength," Lisa smiled. "So, we're not being quarantined anymore." There was a pause. "Actually," Ivalon said, "we'd like to invite your planet to become full members of the Federation. We believe we have much to learn from you, especially your relationship with these dogs." Lisa nearly laughed. "You want to study dogs?" "Yes," Ivalon said solemnly. "And perhaps pet them." In her quarters, Amy got the news just after giving Rex another treat. She hugged him tightly and whispered, "Good boy, Rex. You saved Earth." Rex licked her face and flopped onto the bed, belly up, ready for rubs, completely unaware that he had just become an intergalactic hero. And across the galaxy, new diplomatic embassies began adding one unexpected feature to their protocols: canine cultural ambassadors. Because sometimes the scariest-looking monsters are just fuzzy friends waiting for someone to toss a tennis ball. The garden was quiet at first, just the rustle of alien foliage under the station's artificial breeze and the low hum of containment shields, but all eyes were on the humans and their animals. Rex lay at Amy's feet, tail thumping slowly on the synthetic grass. The little alien child, Piptai, sat beside him, now clearly enchanted, gently stroking the big dog's ears. Other aliens watched from the edge, still nervous, but now more curious than afraid. "This relationship has made both humans and animals better," Captain Jake Morrison continued. "Our bond is not based on dominance or control. It's based on mutual trust, care, and friendship. We don't train animals to be tools. We raise them to be companions." Dr. Helen Gray stepped forward and opened one of her photo albums. "These are elephants I worked with in Africa," she said, showing an image of her walking beside a massive grey elephant, her hand resting gently on its side. "This one, Nuru, was orphaned by poachers, but he learned to trust humans again. We protected him, and in return, he warned our team when predators were nearby. He saved my life twice." A ripple of astonishment passed through the alien observers. The idea that a massive, potentially dangerous beast would choose to help a human voluntarily was almost incomprehensible to them. Sergeant Kim Bradley gave a short whistle, and her dog, Scout, immediately sat to attention, then lay down, then rolled over, all with calm precision. She laughed. He's smarter than most of the soldiers I've worked with, but Scout's not just trained. He's my partner. When I had a breakdown after a bad mission, Scout sat beside me all night. Never left, that's what dogs do. Officer Martinez gently led Star, his horse, forward. The massive animal moved slowly and carefully, clearly aware of the delicate, alien presence around her. Horses have worked with humans for thousands of years. We ride them, yes, but we also care for them deeply. They know us. They remember kindness and they respond to it. Admiral Chrysanel leaned forward, eye stalks narrowing in thought. You're saying these beings, who could kill, choose not to? Exactly, Lisa Chen said. They choose trust over violence. They choose love. That's the point. Humanity's strength doesn't come from dominating predators. It comes from learning how to live alongside them. Rex looked up at Dr. Zeptai and let out a soft bark. Not threatening, but inquisitive. An invitation. Piptai giggled and handed the tennis ball to the doctor. Zeptai hesitated, then slowly, awkwardly tossed it. Rex leapt after it with joy, tail wagging furiously, and returned it, laying it back at Zeptai's feet. A moment of silence passed through the crowd. He played with me, Zeptai said quietly. Not because he had to, because he wanted to. The chamber filled with a new kind of energy, one not rooted in fear, but in cautious excitement. Ambassador Tillix of the Corksy delegation, creatures with wide fins and translucent skin, spoke up. This changes everything. If what we're seeing is true, then humans are unlike any predatory species we've ever known. You do not conquer beasts. You invite them to your fires. Dr. Sam Parker nodded. That's what makes us unique. We don't thrive by being the strongest. We survive by forming bonds, across species, across worlds. We believe in community. The council chamber's tone shifted dramatically. No longer were they discussing quarantine or containment protocols. Now the question was cooperation. Admiral Chrysanel looked at his fellow representatives. I move that we suspend all emergency actions against Earth and begin diplomatic talks for peaceful integration. There was a long pause, then a chorus of voices echoing agreement. Back in the garden, Rex placed the ball at Zeptai's feet again, tail wagging, tongue lolling out of his mouth happily. Zeptai, still shocked, looked at the others. He wants to keep playing, Amy grinned. He always does. He never runs out of love. That moment was captured on hundreds of cameras and holo feeds. It was replayed across the galaxy, a massive Earth creature, feared as a monster, gently nudging a small alien child's hand with a toy. It became the symbol of a new chapter. The Federation no longer feared humans. They marveled at them, not because of their strength, but because of their kindness. Amy went first. She showed how Rex responded to her commands. But she made one thing very clear. It wasn't about control. Rex does what I ask because he trusts me, she said, and I take care of him because I love him. We're a team. Rex demonstrated his training by sitting, lying down and even shaking hands with Amy. Then he did something that surprised all the aliens watching. He brought Amy his favorite toy without being told. He dropped a squeaky ball at her feet and wagged his tail hopefully. He wants to play, Amy laughed. Dogs love to play games with their humans. Dr. Zai had been brave enough to come closer this time. The creature makes its own choices? He asked cautiously. Of course, Amy said. Rex chooses to stay with me every day. If he wanted to leave, I wouldn't stop him. But dogs are pack animals. They want to be part of a family. Next, Officer Tony Martinez stepped forward, with Star, his horse. Star was much larger than Rex, but just as gentle. Tony demonstrated how they worked together, with Star responding to soft voice commands and gentle touches. Horses are prey animals like many of your species, Tony explained to the watching aliens. They're naturally afraid of predators, but Star trusts me because I've never hurt him. I care for him and he helps me with my work. Several plant-eating alien species edged closer when they heard this. The idea that prey animals could willingly work with humans fascinated them. Sergeant Kim Bradley presented a different kind of partnership with Scout, her military working dog. Scout had been trained to detect dangerous items and help keep people safe. But Kim explained that Scout wasn't a weapon or a tool. Scout chooses to help because he knows it's important, she said. Military dogs can retire and become family pets. They're not forced into service, they're our partners. Then came the most surprising presentation of all. Dr. Helen Gray showed photos and videos from her wildlife conservation work on Earth. The aliens watched in amazement as she explained how humans work tirelessly to protect endangered animals. We spend millions of dollars and countless hours trying to save species that are disappearing, Helen said. Humans have built parks and refuges to protect animals. We pass laws to keep them safe. The videos showed humans rescuing injured wildlife, raising orphaned animals and releasing them back into the wild. They saw footage of people swimming with whales to remove fishing nets, feeding baby birds that had lost their parents, and protecting sea turtle nests. You help creatures that give you nothing in return? Asked Councillor Thricol, visibly confused. We help them because it's the right thing to do, Helen replied. Every species has value. Earth is home to all of us. The Federation representatives sat in silence for a long moment, taking it all in. Finally, Admiral Crixell spoke. We may have made a terrible mistake, he admitted. We thought humans were dangerous because they lived with predators, but maybe humans are exactly what the galaxy needs. Dr. Zefotai nodded. Think about it. Our species often fight because we can't understand each other, but humans have learned to communicate and live with creatures that are completely different from themselves. Maybe they can help us do the same. What followed was a passionate but hopeful debate. Species that had been enemies for generations began to wonder if humans could help them find peace. It became clear that humanity's true strength wasn't in controlling other creatures. It was in forming emotional bonds across species. 3 days later, the quarantine around Earth was officially lifted. But more than that, the Federation extended a formal invitation for humanity to join as interspecies mediators and peacekeepers. Amy Foster was given a new title, Chief of Interspecies Relations. And Rex? Rex became the Federation's first official diplomatic dog. Their first assignment was to help mediate a conflict between two species that had been at war for generations. The ceremony marking Earth's induction into the Federation was held at the Human Space Station, now expanded, to welcome guests from across the stars. Representatives from 47 different species attended to celebrate humanity's new role. Amy stood at the podium. Rex sat beside her, wearing a special collar that marked him as a Federation diplomat. 6 months ago, many of you were afraid of Rex, Amy said. You thought he was a monster. Today he's here as a symbol of peace between our peoples. Sometimes the most important changes begin with the smallest acts of friendship. Rex wagged his tail and looked up at her with wide, happy eyes. Several young aliens giggled at his goofy expression. Rex taught us that friendship doesn't depend on being the same species, Amy continued. It depends on trust, kindness, and the willingness to protect each other. That's something any species can learn. After the ceremony, Amy returned to her quarters. Rex lay at her feet, chewing on a toy gifted to him by alien children from 6 different worlds. Look at you, she said, scratching behind his ears. From spoiled murder puppy to galactic diplomat. Mom and Dad are going to be so proud. Rex's tail thumped happily against the floor. He didn't understand diplomacy or politics, but he understood that Amy was happy. and that was enough for him. Outside their window, ships from dozens of worlds drifted peacefully through the stars. Earth had become the diplomatic heart of the galaxy, and it all started with one friendly dog who just wanted to make a new friend. In the end, the galaxy learned that humanity's greatest weapon was also its greatest gift, the ability to love, even a spoiled murder puppy who just wanted belly rubs.